Hey guys, how you doing again? This is D Durrell with D Durrell Life Solutions. I hope everybody is having a blessed day today. And so I want to get right into it. It's going to be a short but quick video. And so I'm going to ask the question and I'm going to talk about how I'm going to ask the question. Has anyone ever told you that since you've been involved in social media, you're acting weird? Has anybody told you that you're acting weird because of your overall interaction on social media? I've had these conversations before with other content creators, and I've also had um, this conversation with colleagues, other professionals, and people that I have relationships with. Is that they have noticed, or other people have noticed, a change in their behavior. Other people have noticed some differences. Most of the situations that I've encountered is that there seems to be a tug of war as it involves that involves the more involved you are or the more intense your interaction is in social media, the less social you are in real life, or the more social you are in real life, it affects your content creation or your interaction online. And I'm going to be honest, for myself, the only time that I felt that was a huge overuse, and for me, with social media, was during COVID between 2020 and 2021. I know for a fact that I was online a lot. And one of the reasons why I was online a lot is it involves content creation and just listening into other sectors is because of COVID. After COVID was over with and people were slowly able to go back to work and so on, it was very difficult to get out of that routine. And so, one of the things that I did was that the more and more I involved myself with work that did not allow me to have the ability to listen to social media content, particularly with Facebook and YouTube, which were the two that I primarily used the most, I noticed that my interaction declined, but also it affected me as a content creator because my content creation also declined, which was not a good thing. And so it's very, very difficult to balance that. And so I've had people talk about that. They found themselves arguing more with people. They found themselves being more aggressive because of being just kind of the conflictual interactions that they had online, particularly in certain types of sectors. They found themselves saying different verbiage and terms that are highly, seen as appropriate online, but people in in your normal social circle find it in many ways strange. So I've had people talk about that. I've had people talk about how they began to think things that are normal on social media should be normal in real life, or people who had certain perspectives they just don't necessarily translate. And I've pointed that out in a lot of different communities that I've been involved in, and they thought that I was out of my mind for saying so. Is that the things that you talk about online don't necessarily reflect real life? And you hear a lot where people think that social media is a microcosm of real life, and in some ways it is, but in most ways it is not. And it is important to pick out what is appropriate and what's not, because not all issues are, they're not all equal. Give you an example. When I interacted in the red pill communities think that all men, or most men, have the same experiences and think a certain way, when in all actuality, most men do not view women or have some of the traumatic events and situations that they have encountered that led them to think that red pill is reality, as it involves how people perceive relationships. The things that people get on social media and talk about, which is usually more negative orientated, is not necessarily reflective of what people say and do in real life. Although what people do online is they take isolated events, more that are in many ways extreme, and they constantly repeat these same types of videos that have a certain theme to it over and over and over, giving a what I would say a disingenuous perception or inaccurate perception of what life is really like. Also, the fact of the matter is that, particularly when it involves relationships, people talk about all the problematic issues as it relates to relationships based on their own experience, as if everybody has those same experiences. And the fact of the matter is that people who have great relationships, stable relationships, don't come online to talk about it. So there is an overexposure of the negative, and there's no balance with people who are actually well-adjusted individuals in their lives. They don't go online to do those things, and so that what gives it the perspective. And so when you look at certain terminologies and things that people talk about and they say, the manner in which they communicate, that is in many ways properly considered normal online, in their normal circumstances in real life, people may not think the same, and they may think that something is wrong with you, or you are, you know, you're weird, or they may think that things about you are a bit eclectic, or so and so on. So those are things that I have, again, looking at it as a content creator, as a subscriber, as someone who interacts with people professionally, etc., as it involves someone thinking that, you know, you're acting strange because of your social media influence. You're acting differently. You're not yourself. This is not what I remember prior to you making social media a normal part of your, or a large part of your day. There are people who watch social media 10 to 12 hours a day. As a therapist, when I've interacted with people who've talked about feeling addicted to social media, I basically would tell people to avoid listening to videos or being on social media no more than 2 hours at a time, and no more than 6 to 8 hours a day. Okay. So what I'm saying is that you're listening to social media, but you're doing it in shorter time spans throughout the day, as opposed to you listening to things from the time you wake up in the morning, every break that you get, when you get off of work, while you're at home, and before you go to bed. Because there are people who typically listen every day with no breaks, social media. And so when you do that, just like negative types of music, like that, some aspects of hip hop and rock and grunge and other different types of music that have all kinds of negative influences, social media also equally has the same influences. So guys, please leave comments in the comment section. This is D Durrell. Have a great day.